Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. Today's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, May the 26th, 2023. And on the front page, it has a few beautiful pictures. Celebrate Who You Are, it's entitled. William Morton Collegiate Institute at Gladstone hosts Multicultural Day by Casper Werhan. Gladstone's William Morton Collegiate Institute, also known as WMCI, was home to plenty of cultural fun on May the 16th. A multicultural day was held, highlighting and celebrating the many cultures present within the school. These include the Métis, Ukrainian, Inuit, Filipino, French-Canadian, Irish, Serbian, Bosnian, German, Belgian, and Anishinaabe cultures, and much more. Teresa Wright, social work clinician for Pine Creek School Division, said that it's this diversity among the students that inspired her to organize this event. To my knowledge, this is the first time that the school has held an event such as this, at least in my time with the school division, said Wright. We have such a diverse population of students here at WMCI, and I felt that we really needed to celebrate that. Wright added, we want for all students to feel that they belong, and what better way to celebrate with that than to really celebrate who they are. And it goes on to say, through conversation with students and their families to see if people would be interested in sharing their culture, a total of 19 displays were then made by students, families, and school staff to be featured during the celebration. I have to say I was very happy with the response Wright shared. The displays created were featured in the school's gymnasium, with staff and students alike able to visit them throughout the morning to learn and even try some cultural foods. Activity passports were also provided to be completed, with students writing in something that was learned from each culture. Once completed, the passports were submitted to a draw box in order to win a variety of prizes, including family passes to the Human Rights Museum in Winnipeg. But that wasn't all. The noon hour included a free barbecue and an opportunity to try several hot foods such as Ukrainian pierogies, Filipino spring rolls, and Scottish haggis. Then the afternoon brought performances from different dance groups. We had students from Isaac Bolio School, jingle dress dancers from Portage La Prairie, Filipino dancers from here in Gladstone, and Ukrainian dancers from Portage as well, said Wright. We also had drummers and singers from Sandy Bay First Nation. The day also coincides well with WMCI's recent addition of a Cultural Wellness Resource Center. The room was officially opened in February and was made possible through a grant Wright applied for via Big Idea Teacher Fund. Throughout the pandemic, I recognized that there was a real gap in resources available for students and families, from knowing where to get support, but also how to access it and what was actually available. The goal of the room is to aid in filling this gap by having resources available, support to connect families, training opportunities, etc. The cultural aspect plays a part in this as well by having an elder in the school 2 days a week to provide support and cultural opportunities. It's set up to provide a welcoming environment for all. It includes things such as yoga mats, meditation cushions, comfortable seating, a coffee bar and refreshment station, charging station, greenery, and a lending library. In her final comments, Wright told the Banner and Press that since the Multicultural Day was hosted, she has received plenty of encouraging feedback regarding the event. She said, "I feel this event really helped to instill a sense of pride, but also a sense of belonging, as it helped the students to really be proud of who they are. As well, it allowed for both their peers and their teachers to really know one another on a more personal level. The feedback has been overwhelming, with everyone's response being very supportive. Many students commented on what a great day it was, as well as many staff members and community members that were in attendance." Wright added, "It was even mentioned that maybe next time we can go bigger and have a community multicultural event in the future. All in all, the day was a great success, and it was so nice to see our school come together to make this happen. Something to celebrate for sure." Nice. Yes, and on the front, I was just going to mention these pictures. Staff and students enjoyed dances. Here we have one there and one there. And shared games and visiting displays and showing different flags. And they had the opportunity to try a variety of foods. Nice. I'll just mention what's on at the Roxy Theatre this weekend. May 26th, that's Friday at 7:30 p.m. and on Sunday at 2 p.m. There is no show on Saturday. So Friday night and Sunday afternoon, it's Super Mario Brothers, the story of the Super Mario Brothers on their journey through the Mushroom Kingdom. And it's a general movie. Okay. So for Helen Drysdale's Out of Helen's Kitchen, this week it's entitled Good to Eat Weeds. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Rather than continue the centuries-old war on weeds, what if we were to start eating some of these invaders? Our yards and gardens contain many good-to-eat weeds. Well, who knew that? The general rule for eating wild plants is get to know your plants. Get them young, get them from areas that have not been sprayed, and avoid picking your weeds close to roadways, as car exhaust can leave residues on the plants. I grow enough weeds in my garden to suit my needs. Remember, a weed is just a plant growing where you do not want it to grow. Lamb quarters are one of the best wild greens there is to eat. Use the leaves when the plant is no higher than a foot tall. They have no bitter taste and can be used any way that you use spinach, raw, sautéed, or steamed. Portulaca is my favorite weed to eat, and it grows abundantly in my garden. If you can't beat them, eat them. Portulaca is very high in omega-3 fatty acids and antioxidant, and one of the most nutritious weeds to eat. You can eat any part above ground, the leaves, branches, flowers, and seeds. The leaves and stems have a crispy texture and can be added to raw to salads or sandwiches. Their peppery flavor is a great stir-fried in a skillet with olive oil, onion, and salt to taste. They do not need much cooking. Red clover is particularly worth pulling from your yard because it's high in protein, calcium, and B complex vitamins and vitamins A and C. I add clover leaves and flowers to salads for a lovely flavor. The flowers of both red and white clover can be eaten raw or cooked or dried for clover tea. The fiddleheads from my flower bed become a welcome spring treat on my dinner plate. Never heard of half of these. Our all parts edible dandelion, well, we've all heard of that, was not a native to America. Many of the early settlers, including my grandparents, brought dandelion seeds with them when they immigrated to Canada from Europe. The first greens to grow in the early spring were used in salads and as cooked vegetables. The dandelion was also used as a medicinal plant. It had many uses, including as a laxative, a relief for arthritis, helped to clear skin conditions, and as a diuretic. Long ago in Britain, it was called pea bed. Dandelion greens are an excellent source of vitamin A, C, and K, as well as minerals. I have eaten dandelion salad since a child and love it. I find the smaller type plants more bitter. Should you find a patch that has large, broad leaves early in the spring, pick them as they are delicious. Enjoy your garden weeds because they are free. And she has 2 recipes, dandelion lentil soup and quick and easy sauteed lamb's quarters. You'll have to go online to check out those recipes. All right, the next article is entitled Company Hired to Renovate Neepawa's Old RCMP Building by Owen Devereaux. And there's a picture of it right here. The renovation of the former RCMP building in Neepawa has cleared one more major hurdle. On Tuesday, May 16th, Town Council approved the hiring of Cutting Edge Construction, a company based out of Brandon, to oversee the renovation and expansion of the facility. Cutting Edge low bid on the renovation came in at $760,906 plus PST. The interior of the old RCMP building must be altered in order to accommodate the new $2.1 million nursing program that was first announced back in February. The cost of this renovation covers Neepawa's financial commitment to the project. Assiniboine Community College is operating the one-time 25-student practical nursing diploma program that will be coming to Neepawa in 2024. And here we have a picture of quite the farming unit. Springtime seeding underway. Last week in this field, this was located in the rural municipality of Glenella, Lansdowne, just north of Arden. So we've all seen lots of activity on the farmland right now. Oh, here's an article about Lorne Lagimodiere, who used to live in Neepawa and was a teacher at the high school. It says he's going to enter the Hall of Fame. Oh, by Owen Devereaux. The Manitoba Football Hall of Fame has announced its inductees for the 2023 class, and former Neepawa Tigers coach Lorne Lagimodiere was among them. Lagimodiere is one of 12 individuals and one team that will be recognized at the official induction ceremony set for September 27th in Winnipeg. Other notable people heading into the hall this year include former CFLers Paul Bennett, who I just met a few weeks ago, and Glenn Scrivener, as well as the longtime voice of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Bob Irving. Lagimodiere's resume to get into the Football Hall of Fame is as solid as his style of play and coaching mindset over the years. He first came to prominence as one of the top running backs to ever play at Brandon University having a standout career with the Bobcats from 1968 to 1972. Among his major highlights with the program were becoming the highest scoring Bobcat for a single season in 1969 and winning the prestigious Jim Casey Award for Sportsmanship in 1971. According to his bio, which has been enshrined at the Brandon University Sports Hall of Fame since 2017, Lagimodiere was described by his teammates as one of the smallest guys on the field, but the one who played with the biggest heart. After his playing career came to an end, Lorne became an educator, spending 11 years in Binsgarth, followed by 17 more years with Neepawa Area Collegiate Institute, or NACI. During that time, Lagimodiere was instrumental in helping the rural Manitoba High School Football League establish itself, coaching the Neepawa Tigers for close to 2 decades. During that tenure, he, along with fellow coach Murray Black, led the Tigers to numerous league titles. In his final season coaching NACI in 2003, Lagimodiere was named RMFL Coach of the Year. He also led the Tigers to a league championship with a perfect undefeated record. If that weren't enough, Lagimodiere also coached junior high school basketball for 30 years, a rural sports legacy very few can match. The Banner Press was able to speak with Lagimodiere shortly after the announcement from the Manitoba Football Hall of Fame. He said this was an honor he had not been expecting, adding that the list of fellow inductees is an amazing group. As for his thoughts on his playing and coaching careers, Lagimodiere felt it was important to remember the reason we all start in sports, because it's a game and it's supposed to be fun. While winning is fun, he noted that it cannot be the sole motivator out there on the field. He said, "We had some very good teams and achieved some success, but it can't be just simply about the numbers, the wins and losses. Any successful sports program has to get the best out of its players, no matter the talent. I think we did a pretty good job of that, motivating the kids out there, gaining their respect and getting them to be self-motivated. That's something they can take with them on or off the field." As for the personal recognition, Lagimodiere said it's hard to verbalize this accomplishment other than to say it was a privilege to be able to be involved with football as long as he was. The Manitoba Football Hall of Fame's 2023 inductees include the following: the 1984 St. Patel Junior Mustangs, Paul Bennett, player/coach, Steve Dolniak, an official, Leo Ezerins, a player, Bob Irving in the media, Brent Irwin, coach/builder, Brownie Krochak, a player, George Kanyuji, a player, coach and builder, Lorne Lagimodiere, player/coach, Stu Nixon, coach, Dennis Radlinsky, coach, Jennifer Romanoff, coach/builder, and Glenn Scribner, player/coach. The Manitoba Football Hall of Fame official induction ceremony and dinner for 2023 is set for Wednesday, September 27th. So congratulations to him. And here's a picture of Lorne following amazing 4-year run as a member of the Brandon University Bobcats football program. He would later on shift into coaching as he spent nearly 2 decades as a coach for the Neepawa Tigers. So here we have him coaching in Neepawa. We already read that. Now, new and improved Neepawa Gladstone Co-op Home Center. The Neepawa Gladstone Co-op recently celebrated its official grand opening of the recently renovated home center in Neepawa. And it is just beautiful. And these are just a few pictures of the building outside and inside. And here's another one here. It is just beautiful. All right, home and garden. Did you know? Submitted by Metro Creative. Despite being very small creatures, ticks can wreak havoc on people and pets. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention indicates that ticks can carry a host of diseases which they may pass on to animals and their human companions. Though Lyme disease gets the most attention, dogs who tend to spend more time outdoors than cats may be susceptible to any of these conditions. I'll try my best to enunciate these words. Ehrlichiosis, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, babesiosis, Bartonella, hepatozoonosis, tularemia, tick paralysis, and anaplasmosis. Illnesses from tick bites can cause fever, loss of appetite, painful and swollen joints, lameness, swollen lymph nodes, and lethargy. Topical and oral flea and tick products can minimize the number of ticks found on pets and also prevent the types of long latch times that can lead to disease transmission through tick saliva. In addition, keeping pets away from tall grasses and removing ticks after coming indoors can help reduce the risk for tick-related illnesses. How to make a backyard safe for dogs. So, another article about keeping your dogs safe. Dogs can be full of boundless energy. Channeling that energy into exercise with long walks or play sessions can help stem dogs' propensity to get into trouble around the house as they burn off extra adrenaline. Pet owners with large backyards often find those outdoor spots are ideal for when their dogs get the zoomies, something that tends to be a daily occurrence. Letting their dogs run around yards, whether on their own or chasing tossed tennis balls, is an ideal way to provide exercise and tire out pups. In such scenarios, it's vital that pups have a dog-friendly yard in which to play. For example, use safe lawn care products. An expanse of grass is the perfect place to frolic and enjoy some sunbathing for people or pets, but contact with chemically treated lawns can cause a number of health issues for dogs, such as allergies or intestinal upset. Switching to native grasses can reduce the need to use chemicals to get lush lawns. When supplementation is needed, homeowners can switch to organic products or natural compost as safer alternatives than chemical-based products. Another safe thing is to fence off the yard. Off-leash running and bounding through the yard will make any dog smile. However, a fence is a must-have to ensure a dog doesn't become an escape artist. Be sure the fence is high enough so that the pup cannot jump over it. Burying chicken wire in the dirt below the lower edge of the fence can also help prevent dogs who like to dig from exiting by crawling underneath the fence. Consider installing a lock on the fence gate so that no one can wander in and surprise the dog, which may startle the animal and prompt it to defend the property. A lock also helps prevent dog theft. Another safe thing is keeping the yard tidy. Maintaining a clean yard also is key to safety. Inspect the yard regularly to make sure nothing is around that can prove harmful, whether it's poison ivy, fallen branches, or broken fence panels. Also, keep shrubs and grass trimmed to reduce flea and tick populations on the property. And the last thing they talk about is keeping an eye on the animal. Dogs can spend some unattended time in the yard, but check in from time to time. Should wildlife get into the yard, dogs may get hurt by tussles or bites. Birds of prey, such as owls, hawks, or even vultures, may attack small dogs in a yard, as some birds can be territorial. While they might not view a dog as an easy meal, they could swoop down and attack to defend territory. The same may occur with other wild animals. A dog-friendly yard may require a little effort to create, but it's worth a little sweat equity to keep pups safe. Okay, on to sports. Neepawa Golf and Country Club open for the season. Little pun there by Owen Devereaux. A combination of factors this spring just might have the Neepawa Golf and Country Club, known as NGCC, already hitting some high benchmarks for course conditions in 2023. Some exceptional care over the winter, combined with a steady and consistent melt over the spring, has allowed the greens and fairways to come into form sooner than had been expected. General Manager and CPGA head golf professional for the NGCC, Landon Cameron, said that the great conditions are also due to the weather is starting to cooperate and a lot of hard work from the grounds crew. He said the shape of the course is actually very good. It wintered very well, and now that we've received a little bit of moisture and then some heat in the recent weeks, we've really seen the course green up. Mark Kirkowicz and his grounds crew have done such a great job preparing it for the winter and then getting it going this spring. It makes it a lot easier for me and my staff to work on the golf course now. The course is in great shape and we're just looking forward to seeing everybody out there, said Cameron. Cameron added that the initial comments they're hearing from club members have focused on how impressed they've been so far with the ground conditions in the first few weeks of the golfing season. As for the planned off-season upgrades that had been in the works for Neepawa Golf and Country Club, Cameron said the installation of the new bridge, extension of the clubhouse deck, and addition of an accessibility ramp have all come to fruition. Everything with that is done. The installation of the new bridge, the handicapped ramp, and the deck are all finished or finished enough to be open. We still have a few things to do in the clubhouse to get it fully operational. That way, with the handicapped accessibility, we had lots of volunteers to spearhead the decking of the ramp project. Kevin Lewandowski, a board member for NGCC, led the deck project, and fellow board member Mark Giroux led the handicapped ramp project. So it's always nice to see the volunteers stepping up to lead projects like that. As for the major golf events set for 2023, this year's schedule consists of the following. The Senior Men's Tournament is July the 10th. Senior Ladies Tournament, August 2nd. Westman Junior Golf Tour event, August 8th. Club Championship, August 12th and 13th. Rose Bowl Men's Match Play, September 2nd to the 4th. And the Sunflower Two Lady Scramble, September 9th. A complete list of the course's tournament schedule can be seen at the Neepawa Golf and Country Club website. Call 204-476-5711 for your tee time information. Manitoba Mavericks wins season opener over the Neepawa Cubs by Owen Devereaux. An early inning power surge at the plate helped the Manitoba Mavericks to a 9-6 victory over the Neepawa Cubs in Santa Clara Baseball League action. The Mavericks scored all 9 of their runs in the first 3 innings of play, including putting up 5 in the bottom of the second. Despite a late rally by the Neepawa Cubs in the 6th inning, the Mavericks would hold on to the win. Pitcher Devin Ford earned the win for the Mavericks, allowing just 1 run while collecting 3 strikeouts over the course of 3 innings. John Hutton came in for the late game save, striking out all 3 batters he faced in the final inning. As for the club's performance at the plate, Hutton was 2 for 3 at bat, driving in a pair of runs. Teammate Hunter Dundas also stepped up, going 2 for 2 on the game. For the Cubs, Garrett Rempel led the way with a 4 for 5 night with 2 runs. As well, Lincoln Murray was 2 for 3 with a pair of runs. Jordan Wickens ended up taking the loss on the mound for the Cubs on this night. This victory is not only the first of the season for the Minnedosa Mavericks, but also their first in nearly 6 years, as the club had to take an extended leave of absence from the Santa Clara League. Titans sign new 20-year-old forward. The Neepawa Titans are happy to announce that 20-year-old forward Payne Pent has signed a letter of intent for the 23-24 season. Pent is from Parker, Colorado, has spent the last 2 seasons with the El Paso Rhinos of the NACTV. In 87 games with El Paso, the forward had 37 goals and 42 assists. Titans head coach / GM Ken Pearson had this to say about Pent. Payne will be a great addition to the Titans on and off the ice. He has been a captain this last year and will add to the leadership we already have. His size up front will be a welcome addition to our forward group. In a team media release announcing the signing, Payne Pent said that he was really excited and grateful to come to Neepawa this fall to join the Titans and the community of Neepawa. Fans can expect a hard-working forward that plays a 200-foot game. Now we have a picture here. Team RMFL Fall in Challenge Cup. A group of selected players from the Rural Manitoba Football League, including 3 from the Neepawa Tigers, who include Carson Baker, Brandon Johnson, and Austin Lewis, recently played in the Challenge Cup, an annual all-star game between high school players from Manitoba and Saskatchewan. This year's game, played in Shoal Lake on May 22nd, was won by Team Saskatchewan by the score of 51-14. All right, now there's a picture here of Carberry Cougars. The Carberry Cougars, this is a girls fastball team, claimed the Zone 7 Fast Pitch Championship on Tuesday, May 23rd with a decisive 14-1 win over the William Morton Warriors of Gladstone. With the victory, Carberry closed out its league play with a perfect record. The Cougars will now advance to the Manitoba High School Athletics Association Provincials, which will take place in Ile-des-Chênes on June 2nd and 3rd. Well, congratulations and good luck on that tournament. And here we have Model United Nations students attend Rotary Luncheon. Local members of Model United Nations Assembly, called MUNA, Trent Tomanico, John Mabayad, Allison Beaumont, McKenna Sumner, Emily Hawken, and Haley Dennis recently spoke at the Neepawa Rotary Club luncheon. I was at this and they were amazing speakers talking about their experience that they've had recently in Winnipeg at this MUNA assembly. Very, very, very well spoken kids. All right, moments in Riding Mountain. This one's called Sharp-Tailed Grouse by Ken Kingdon. The transition from winter to spring is always such a wonderful event. Every year, I forget the certain exuberance I feel when the season changes. That extra bounce in my step is not solely based on warming temperatures and the disappearance of a winter's worth of snow, nor is it only the first whiff of spring air when you throw open the windows after 7 months of stale indoor air. For me, another marker that winter has finally eased its grip is the increase in daylight hours. Being inherently lazy, I'm just as happy to ignore the early morning light and stay nestled in my bed. However, from time to time, I do find myself up and at 'em in the early dawn hours. One of the things that propels me out of bed is volunteering in the province's annual sharp-tailed grouse surveys. Each spring, these birds gather on dancing grounds called leks, L-E-K-S. It is here that the males prove their sexual fitness to the hens through dancing and chest-to-chest dust-ups with other males. Sharp-tailed grouse have always been on my radar, but admittedly only fleetingly, literally. As kids on the farm, we would see them irregularly, and often the first sign of their presence was seeing them hurtle away into the distance on stiffly beating wings, clucking to each other as they scolded us for disturbing them. They would land high up in aspen trees a kilometer or more away, making it impossible for us to approach them undetected. My first close-up encounter with them was when I was in my mid-20s and I stumbled across a lek near Camp Wanakambak in the Crawford Park area. I was out doing some early morning birding when I heard this strange sound emanating from a grassy knoll, a kind of thrumming and clicking noise. I had no idea what was making the sound and ended up scaring about 10 grouse off what turned out to be their dancing ground. It was a moment that I can't forget, with the sun just peeking over the horizon, burning through a light fog as the rest of the bird world was greeting the dawn with their songs. Since that time, I have been drawn to looking for sharp-tailed grouse. The original lek that I found still exists, but I have since discovered one a little closer to Onanol, one that I can walk to easily from the house. While the local grouse are quite shy and flush quickly, sometimes you get a lucky break. This spring, during a whirlwind tour of Grasslands National Park, Ray and I were able to watch a small flock of sharp-tailed grouse from about 4 meters away. Entirely ignoring us, they foraged among last summer's grass, much like domestic chickens, quietly peeping and chirping at each other. Unlike the other two local family members, spruce grouse and ruffed grouse, sharptails will stick together during the entire year, sometimes in small groups of 2 or 3, but at other times joining in loose flocks of 10 or more. Thus, constant contact is part of their evolution, keeping each other aware of approaching predators. On the various mornings that I have roused myself to check on the luck, I have watched a red fox hunting voles hidden under the last of the snow, a moose trotting across a distant meadow, and a bear and her 2 half-grown cubs. The bears were fresh from their winter den, and we watched them feeding on emerging grasses. The dawn chorus of birds changes over the spring too. Ducks and geese join crows and robins in the early spring. Then, slowly but surely, sparrows and blackbirds supplement the chorus with their voices, and as the ice comes off the lakes, loons and grebes add their calls to the mix. At times, the calls can be so loud that the sound of the grouse is drowned out. That's a price that I am happy to put up with, though as long as I don't keep hitting the snooze button. Ken Kingdon lives in Onanol, Manitoba, in the heart of the Riding Mountain Biosphere Reserve. All right, Neepawa approves construction of walking trail viewing towers by Owen Deverell. Soon you'll be able to see the natural beauty of Neepawa from a whole new perspective. Town Council has recently approved the construction of 2 viewing towers along the Great Trail, the 24,000 kilometers long national walking path that runs right through Neepawa. One tower will be built at Rotary Park, while the other will be constructed along a portion of walking path that passes through the High Life Back 40 multi-use trail park. The pair of 30-foot tall towers will be constructed by Tridacon at a cost of $173,118. $75,000 of that cost has already been covered through a grant the town had received from the province's Building Sustainable Communities program back in 2022. The town's portion of the cost has already been accounted for in previous budgeting deliberations. Construction of the towers should begin sometime before November the 1st. And the Neepawa Choir concert that was a couple of weeks ago supports local groups / organizations. And here's a picture. The Neepawa and Area Community Choir brought in $800 via silver collection at its double feature concert with the Neepawa Choraleers on May the 10th. Funds gained after accounting for costs were all intended for donation to community groups and organizations. Choir representatives met with the chosen event beneficiaries at the Knox Presbyterian Church on May 23rd to present the checks. Funds were donated to Arts Forward, $250, the Knox Presbyterian Church, $250, and the Neepawa and Area Fine Arts Festival, $100. So pictured here is Donna Huck presenting a check to Yvonne Sisley, accepting on behalf of Arts Forward. Then we have Gwen McCaskill, she accepts the check from Val Jarama on behalf of the Neepawa and Area Fine Arts Festival. And Pat Martin presents a check to Gladys Anderson on behalf of the Knox Presbyterian Church. That's great. Now we have a huge article here about the 2023 Gladstone Music and Arts Festival results. After 3 years of cancellations, the 2023 Gladstone Music and Arts Festival once again provided students with a supportive and educational experience to enrich their skills and further develop an appreciation of the arts. Young performers from the Gladstone, Plumas, McGregor, Austin, and Langruth areas shared their love of music and arts during the 90th festival held through April. This is always an excellent venue where performers can receive feedback from seasoned and professional adjudicators. The 2023 Gladstone Music and Arts Festival was sponsored by Southern Health, Santé Sud, Public Health, Healthy Living, and Healthy Together Now through the Increasing Community Belonging Grant. The goal of this grant is to promote social connections and relationships in the community. The organizing committee would like to thank Southern Health for their support this season. The committee would also like to thank William Morton Collegiate Institute, Gladstone Elementary School, Gladstone United Church, and the Municipality of Westlake Gladstone for their continued support. Thank you to those who generously donated to the festival in 2023. Your continued support is greatly appreciated. For the Piano Awards, the piano sessions were held on April 12th and 13th with Madeline Hildebrand, or Maddie, adjudicating. Maddie teaches at Brandon University and recently completed her doctorate in music from Stony Brook University in New York. Now, I'm not going to read all of there's just too many people and kids that participated in these So you'll have to see that online. The speech awards, speech, choral, vocal sessions were held on April 19th with Alyssa Hildebrand adjudicating. Alyssa teaches voice to students across Manitoba at many different levels and abilities. She enjoys working in a variety of styles with her students, including classical, folk, and musical theater. 2 community choirs performed in a non-competitive class. They were the Neepawa Choraleers and the Neepawa Area Community Choir. In the band sessions were held on April 25th with Melissa Ballard adjudicating. Melissa teaches in Western Manitoba and performs as a percussionist with a variety of ensembles. The band sessions were in a workshop format where the adjudicator worked with each band or ensemble after their selections were performed. Provincial Festival recommendations. Thank you to everyone who attended the Highlights concert on Sunday, April 30th at Gladstone United Church. And performance awards. The Gladstone Music and Arts Festival Band Trophy presented for the most outstanding band performance was presented to William Morton Collegiate / Plumas Elementary / Langruth Elementary Junior Band. The R.K. Reed Speech Arts Trophy presented for the most outstanding speech arts performance was presented to Kenzie Williams. The Doris Sigurdsson Memorial Trophy presented for the most outstanding performance in piano, solo, or duet, beginner to grade 4, was presented to Elizabeth Pugh. The Joy Mowat Memorial Trophy presented for the most outstanding performance in piano, solo, or duet, grade 5 and up, was presented to Jaleesa Zacharias. The Gladstone Music Festival Rose Bowl presented for the most outstanding vocal performance was presented to Mackenzie Weeb. The Matthew Tykrib Scholarship Award presented to the most outstanding piano performance in piano solo Canadian were presented to Jaleesa Zacharias. And the Wanda Toth Memorial Scholarship Award presented to a hardworking, dedicated, passionate piano student who shows a positive attitude in lessons and shares their music with others was presented to Brooke Smith. Now there's 2 pictures here to show the winner of the Gladstone Music Festival Rose Bowl in vocal was Mackenzie Weeb. And here we have the Gladstone Music and Arts Festival Band Trophy went to the William Morton Collegiate / Plumas Elementary / Langruth Elementary Junior Band, which is pictured here. So congratulations to them. All right, I'll go back and cover this area. We'll read Homebodies by Rita Friesen. This week her article is entitled Simple Wisdom. The book on my bedside table is Simple Wisdom for a Complicated World, Amish Peace by Suzanne Woods Fisher, published in 2009. After the shooting at West Nickel Mines, where 10 little girls were shot, 4 of them dying, there were many references to forgiveness under the headings Simplicity, Time, Community, Forgiveness, and the Sovereignty of God. I reread this book annually to remind myself of values I hold dear. Under the first heading, there is a chapter called Small Scale Living, and the accompanying quote is the Amish proverb, "We live simply so others may live simply live. We live simply so others may simply live." This tied in with the conversation I had this week with an individual who is preparing to say farewell to this life. Reviewing one's life is a standard at this stage. We pondered why so many folks never are satisfied, never have enough. This isn't a new thought for me. I am thankful that I have enough and to share. Am I wealthy? Not by this world's standards, but I have enough, more than enough. The individual with whom I was speaking reviewed the time they were offered a parcel of farmland, expand one's holding. With thought and reflection, the decision was to not purchase more land. What they held title to was enough. A small-scale farm in today's world, but enough. More is caught than taught. Reminds us to use our time wisely, especially with children and seniors. Our actions, whatever our age, still speak louder than our words. In the Amish society, children are valued, loved, and never indulged or spoilt. They contribute to the welfare of the family unit. The parents most often move into a small house beside the big house when the farm passes to the younger generation. They are cared for by the community, which leads to the next section. Community. Do unto others as if you were the other. An Amish proverb. One of the illustrations is how the community rallied when one of the men was hospitalized in harvest time. While he was in care, the neighbors joined forces and got the crop safely in. The woman sharing says, "When Willis was in the hospital, I could so clearly see the fruits of the Spirit in action, all done in love. If people had only come and wished us well, that alone would not have done the work. Faith and works go hand in hand. How often do we hear about folks extending thoughts and prayers?" Part 4 addresses forgiveness. Here again, the examples are real and moving. Here is a quote. "The person who forgives does more for himself than for anyone else. Good deeds have echoes. Blessed are they who have nothing to say and cannot be persuaded to say it." And my favorite, swallowing words before you say them is so much better than having to eat them afterward. The final section speaks on the sovereignty of God. The Amish live apart from the worldly ways, and their definition of worldly does vary from mine. And that's okay. True for all of us. A quote, "Opportunity may knock once, but temptation bangs on your front door forever." An Amish proverb. Putting life and a faith-filled life into perspective. Before we can pray, "Thy kingdom come," we must pray, "My kingdom go." And Neil Stroshine, Faithfully Yours. This week his article is entitled, "Be Careful What You Wish For." A couple meets, falls in love, and decides to get married. When they share that news with their families, it is greeted with shock and sorrow. "He's not right for you," her family says. "She's the wrong person for you," his family says. And from that day on, intensive efforts are made to get the couple to end the relationship and go their separate ways, and each marry people that meet with their family's approval. Are those efforts successful? Occasionally, but more often than not, they have the opposite effect. The lovers go someplace where they can be alone, evaluate the relationship, and decide that they will marry, with or without their family's blessing, stay together, work together, and stand together against those who would try to quench their love and destroy their relationship. They make an irrevocable commitment. We will survive, we will thrive, we will show those naysayers how wrong they are. Sometimes the family's efforts are successful and the couple ends the relationship. Do things turn out better for them? Sometimes, but they will always wonder if bowing to family pressure was the right thing to do. And when marrying those their families chose for them doesn't work out well, everyone learns an important lesson. Be careful what you wish for. You might not like what you get. Those words come to mind whenever I hear or read stories of people who favor banning a news network from being carried by cable or satellite systems in Canada, or who are asking that some books be banned from public school libraries because of their content. Personally, I have no quarrel with those who find content broadcast over the airwaves to be offensive. I don't like some of it either. In fact, a few years ago, I stopped watching cable news networks, listening to talk radio, and reading major newspapers because I did not want to read, hear, or watch material that, in my view, did more to advance the network's political, moral, and social agenda than give readers and listeners the facts and let them draw their own conclusions about the content that was presented. As for books, I agree with those who suggest that some publications contain material that is not suitable for younger readers. I endorse efforts by public and school libraries and other media outlets to identify certain publications and programs as inappropriate for some age groups. There's nothing wrong with that, but I do not agree with those who advocate blocking news networks or banning books from library shelves. These initiatives often have the opposite effect. People will watch the news network or read the book out of curiosity, wondering what all the fuss is about. And those who want to limit the spread of content they find offensive will, as a result of their efforts, actually give it more publicity and a greater following than it had before. So how can we keep media content that defies our political, social, moral, or religious views from exerting a harmful influence on us and on those we love? Governments will not do that for us, and we should not expect them to. The guidelines they set will reflect the views of our pluralistic society and protect our rights as free people to debate the issues of the day in an atmosphere of mutual respect for all points of view. Governments cannot teach us how to discern which views are constructive and which are not. That must come from another source, which will be identified next week. And there's a cute little cartoon here. It looks like it's an audience of bananas, and there's a banana that's going to give a speech on the stage, and then there's a banana just behind the curtain, and he's telling this guy on stage, if you get nervous, try to picture the audience peeled. All right, the last article I'm going to read today is by Ken Waddell, right in the center, and today it's entitled Labels and Such. Sorry. I am convinced that more than ever before in history, we have assigned labels to more things, people, and conditions than ever. Labels can be helpful, but they can also be very harmful. It gets further complicated by the fact that we don't have a lot of control over some of the labeling. We are repeatedly told that we can be whatever we want to be, but that advice needs to be constantly evaluated as to whether the label we attach to things, people, and conditions are real or valid. Some labels are unchangeable, others are questionable, and many are absolutely unnecessary. Let's look at my personal example. I am a human, that's a certainty, and I had no choice in the matter. I was born a Canadian, again, no choice. I could move to another country and change my citizenship, but I would still always have been born a Canadian. I was born a Waddell, over which I had no choice. I could change my name, but the name under which I was born can never change. I am a male, all but an old one. My age changes every day, but I had no choice in my gender, and quite frankly, it makes no sense to me to fuss about it. I am a husband, a father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. I had a choice about being a father, but Had I not become one, obviously the latter two titles would not have happened. So what's the point? The point is that some labels are automatic and some are by choice. It seems today that everything and everybody has to be labeled. Probably the most useless of labeling is the ones we put on people. If you were born in Canada or have become a Canadian, you are Canadian. I care about people's backgrounds. It's fun to discuss heritage, but we are all Canadians, not hyphenated Canadians. I am all for history and heritage, but we need to have a bigger, greater goal in building our country and communities than to have an unhealthy clinging to our heritage. Another type of labeling has a profound effect on our society and especially on our politics. We have an election coming in Manitoba, and it promises to be a hard-fought one. Already we see a lot of political advertising. I find the union ads particularly annoying. They simply shouldn't be allowed, and here's why. Elections are based on one person, one vote. Often, only 60% of voters bother to cast their ballot. Many unions come out in favor of a candidate or a party. The problem is that the union doesn't have the authority to apply a political label to all its members, as I can guarantee all members don't agree with the stated union stand. When a union takes a stand for or against a political party or candidate, the assumption is that all members will vote the same way. Also, in my career, I have known of many cases where union members were clearly instructed and bullied as to how they must vote, and the unions have gotten away with it. Union members have been told they have to vote a certain way or they will lose their jobs. For years, unions in Manitoba got behind former NDP Premier Gary Doer's rallying cry that the Tories fired 1,000 nurses. It was a lie, but it didn't matter. Doer used it for years. The unions parroted it, and many people still believe it. Some will be upset when I say unions should not take a political stand, but those same people would be very upset if the chambers of commerce came out in support of a particular party. How would they respond if the Association of Manitoba Municipalities did that? Or how about the Manitoba Cemental Cattle Association supporting a party? In the same way that I get upset when a union or organization expresses support for a party, I don't like it when a newspaper comes out in favor of a candidate or a party. If an editor, such as myself, or a columnist supports a party, that's one thing. But if a newspaper does so, that there is an assumption that all the employees echo that support, and they may not. They may well vote differently than a particular owner or publisher or editor. Their vote is sacred, just as every vote is sacred. Votes and voters should never fear how they vote. In Manitoba, only individuals can donate to a political party, but there is no limit on how much unions can spend on ads supporting or opposing a party. There's another little wrinkle in all this process. I'm pretty sure when the NDP have a convention, a large percentage of the delegates are appointed by the unions. So much for one person, one vote. We need to be very careful about how we apply labels. There's often a lot hidden behind the label. And here we have a picture, it's kind of cool, of Edrin's school, a 1953 senior class. May 19th, 1953, this picture was taken. And it even has the names. Those pictured standing are Betty McCullough, Irene Curry, Marina McCullough, Margaret Sutherland, Leona Funk, Agnes Bueller, Marjorie Seaman, and Siegfried Miller. And sitting are Barry Moore, Helman Miller, Eric Moore, Glenn Russell and Yvonne Russell. So some people may recognize those pictures, even though it was from way back in 1993. All right, that is it for today's reading of the Neepawa Banner and Press. So I'm going to thank everyone for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you another day. Bye for now.